Hi, Rohan. Magical performance for everyone at Leeds Rhinos, for the Burrows family, for yourself, for your teammates against Huddersfield. I suppose that was a special occasion for everyone involved, and I suppose the emotions at play meant that you got a performance. You're playing Warrington now, where circumstances are very different. It's back to the nitty grind of the league. How are you going to sort of manage that? Is it a different sort of an occasion in terms of coming off such a high in terms of going in now to play Warrington?
Yeah, it certainly was a great event for the club on Friday, honouring Rob and his family, and also raising awareness for the MND community was a big thing. Clearly we played well. It was another important day to acknowledge Bev Risman and family, and the condolences there. And then it turned out to be a great weekend for the club with our PDRL, our wheelchair teams having hard-fought wins, and then a cracking day on Sunday with our Hall of Fame lunch. We're 4 new members in there. So it was a big event for the club over the weekend. We didn't overly talk about Rob and the MND stuff. We certainly knew we were aware of it, but we didn't build that game up massively from an emotional point of view. It was important that we responded to some previous results. And it's also very important that we respond to a big win. It's sometimes easy to bounce back from a disappointing performance, but bouncing back from a big win is something that's really important, and that's what good teams can do.
Yeah, and Rohan, you mentioned there the last time you played Warrington, obviously there was an awful lot of learning points to take away from it, and obviously they've been up near the top of the Daunchlons for most of the season so far. Is there certain things that you have taken away from that game that you have implemented since that have made you a better team this time around to face Warrington?
Yeah, Warrington were red hot that night. They were really they performed well as a team, and they were hungry, and they executed their plays. We had some moments in that game where we just clearly let ourselves down in some sort of uncanny moments that made the scoreboard not what we liked, but there was large parts of that game where they were really hard fought. We know we're going to have to compete hard over there. Traveling over there on a Thursday night is going to be a tough gig. So we've taken some learns out of that game, but we've also taken some learns out of every game this year.
Yeah, and Rohan, finally for me, obviously you're entering the business end of the season now, and some will find it sort of strange that you're already thinking ahead of 2024 with sort of acquisitions and making acquisitions in the pipeline. Is that an ongoing sort of business that happens in terms of being involved in a sports franchise, that you always have to think, you always just 2 steps ahead, even have to be looked at even when you're in the business end of the season? Is it a distraction for you and your players to hear news about players coming in next year, and some players might be not coming back or staying on? Are they sort of distractions, or as sports professionals are you just, that's the norm, we deal with it and we don't let it in between our 2 ears?
Yeah, well, it's a normal thing in rugby league. It's what rugby league's created for itself. The lack of genuine transfer windows, and players can pretty much freely move whenever they want. Certainly within the NRL, and then a little bit, Super League deadline things open up officially on May 1st, and it doesn't close. So, it's an interesting system and concept. It's not one I'd endorse by design, but it is what it is. It's certainly a distraction for some people at various times. We're dealing with human nature, and knowing where your future lies is not always an easy thing to handle, but it's a professional sport. We all have to get on with doing our job as best we can, and performances, take care of themselves. And you can't always keep every player. You can't always get every player that you want to get, but you got to have an eye to the future, and having a roster that can do well now, and also make decisions that are going to help the future as well, and not if you just make short-term decisions all the time, then you're going to end up in a pickle at some point. So we're trying to keep an eye on the future, but every day at training is certainly about the present.
And just one follow-on question from you raised an interesting point there about the possible systems in place. So would you be in favour of something that we have in the football game in terms of transfer markets, special windows, maybe five-week windows, maybe towards the season, to get all this out of the way, that it shouldn't be happening and in terms of the business end of the season, all these sort of stuff in the background? Do you think that's something rugby league could learn from other sports?
Oh, maybe so. There's a lot of sports that do things a lot differently. I think rugby league's one of the few sports where you can be contracted somewhere else but playing, in a different club. So, that's out of my area of influence, and the system is what it is. So we'll crack on and do the best we can with it.
Cheers, Rohan.
Thanks, James.
All right, Rohan, you're all right.
Cameron, how are you?